Pasha Paro, thank you for tuning. YNet 7. Redefining why LinkedIn is broken for critical thinkers like you. And if you like efficiency, definitely efficiency people like you as well. So, what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with networking in the age of erotomania. Erotomania. All right. Let me just check something here. All right, looks good. All right, so networking in the age of erotomania. All right, so some of us is gonna be like, but this is what everybody else is doing. This is how they said to do it, right, guys? And then a small percentage of us, probably like the 2% that I represent, is gonna be like, no, that's networking nightmares. And we're gonna talk about the haunting visuals today of digital stalking, because what happens is people don't realize, most of the 98%, that they're not networking. They're on these platforms. They're being encouraged to stalk. And we're going to review that today and give you an opportunity to actually start networking again in life instead of being a stalker. So, let's get to that ethical tightrope of inefficiencies and modern networking. Let's go. So, when you have these networking groups, right, they tell you, oh, this is, there's a certain way that, you should do A, B, C, and D. And this is how you meet people on, LinkedIn and Alignable. And it's like people start to really do it, right? And they start to really be practicing these steps. And the question is, do they know what they're doing, right? So for those who don't know, I am Pasha Paro, American brand evoker and critical solutions expert. So I want to go over today what those steps are, right? And how they're damaging to not only critical thinkers and efficiency. So if you're in project management or process optimization, like these sites are probably a nightmare for you. And we're going to learn why today, because the other 98% of the population has no clue why we're frustrated with them. And they actually enjoy stalking and being stalked. We're going to cover all that in a moment. So it's a reason why certain people excel and enjoy it, the process, even though it's so fucked up. So they say, oh, first you want to identify, like, think about it. You're coming onto these platforms. It's supposed to be a networking opportunity for you as a business owner, right? Now, if you're honest with yourself, what are you networking for? I mean, let's just be honest. You got a product and or a service. If you're networking for business, I'm not talking about you at the club socializing, trying to get your friend count up or bag a chick for the evening, right? Or whatever your thing is. For those that meet chicks in clubs still, right? I'm talking about if you're actually focused on your business and your brand, what would you be networking for? There's only a handful of reasons, right? And it's going to be things like, maybe you need vendors, right? Maybe you need some sort of support, right? Or you need customers. You need customers and clients, right? So don't actually lose sight of what you're actually there for, right? First of all, because they'll try to gaslight you, like, hey, this is a business networking site. What are you on here trying to do business for? Like, how doesn't it just sound? It sounds off. But what people do is they like, no, I'm trying to be accepted. They said, we don't talk about business on our business networking site. Then you might as well be on Facebook, right? When you really think about the logistics and the meanings and the values of the words, right? But let's look at this. So they say, oh no, don't network, don't pitch, and whatever that means to you and other people. First, you want to identify your target. right? And then after you identify your target, I'll go into what each one of these means and how stupid they are in a moment. But then you want to engage with their content. Now remember, you on here trying to do business, but this is what they recommend. No, don't think about business. And again, this is not just LinkedIn. This goes for all of these business networking sites. Because if you go to a BNI meeting, right, or in-person networking group, you don't just. Could you imagine going to the BNI meeting where they're like, "Yo, time is critical, and they're like, okay, it's your turn to speak. Hi guys, I'm really just here. Don't mind me. I'm just here. I'm gonna interact with what you guys say." How dumb does that look, right? Like people really feel like you're wasting their time because they're there to actually network, right? All right, so let's get back to it. So, number 1, identify your target audience. Number 2, engage with their content. Number 3, send a personalized connection request. Number 4, number 4 is now step number 4 says build a genuine relationship. Now, see, the reason why, and we're going to get into this in a moment, the reason why this is so retarded to critical thinkers and people who are efficient and or people who simply want the truth is because this should be step number 1, right? And or number 5, they say, is pitch your product or service thoughtfully. We're coming here to do business, to network our business, and to build relationships that support, whether it's vendors, another logistics, marketing, which, I'm in that wheelhouse, whatever. We're coming, that's what you're on the platform for. You're not on this platform, these type of platforms. This ain't Netflix. Let's just call a spade a spade. This is not Netflix. You're not here to be entertained. Can you at least admit that to yourself? Right? Okay, great. We're making some progress. So once you accept that, you start to realize, why are you doing anything but what supports your actual reason for being here? Oh, because they gave you these 5-step processes to how you not network, but make the platform more profitable. And I don't mean for you, I mean for the platform. See, it like one of these things down here, I don't normally cross-reference the ticker tape below. I guess I should start doing it because there'd be some really bright information there. But I don't normally cross-reference that with the video because I like to keep it separate, the information. But the one part on there I saw that I was just like, what? It was the one that was saying, where's that? It was saying that 60%, no, whatever it was, some percentage of people actually I'm gonna use the word stalk people for 6 months before they give them a pitch. Let's see where it comes back out. 82% of users trust. Anyway, you'll see it when it comes down. 6 months, right? Could you imagine? It doesn't make sense. I think this is 63%. No, that's not it. All right. So could you imagine how many of y'all have have wanted to buy a car, right? And you went to the dealership in January and said, hey, no, I'm not gonna buy today. I'm really just coming because I want to spend the next 6 months learning about you to see if I want to shop from you. There it is. 80%. 80% of professionals spend 6 months or more nurturing leads before pitching. What kind of insanity is that? Right? When you ready to buy a car, one, you get off at whatever time you get off during the day, you got the weekend, you trying to either go to as many places as you can or need to. You really want to go to as few places as you need to, so you're probably researching it before you even got there. And then you get there and you're looking at the car. You only really care about the salesman when there's a problem. Like I said in my post on LinkedIn, they didn't acknowledge me when I got here. I don't want to shop with you. Give me your boss, give me your supervisor, or we're gonna go somewhere else. Like, that's the only time you really care about who is helping you with the transactions when there's something wrong. Big corporations, anybody that's been in a call center, they know. Anybody that's worked for a large corporation that handles retention efforts by just throwing tons of money at it, that people are 13 times more likely to speak about negative experience than a bad one. The problem is positivity to negative people appears to be negative. So negative people actually are 13 times more likely to talk about the positivity they experienced in life in a negative fashion because they didn't realize it was positive to begin with. Like, you ever tell somebody, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to give you opportunity to tell yourself, we shouldn't work together because you hang with people that I don't fuck with or that don't want to fuck with me. And that's going to be like, how does that work? Right? And then they tell you, well, if you never said that, I would have worked with you. Right. That's right. See how they're giving it a negative experience because it's positive, but they're seeing it as a negative. So then you tell them, yes, exactly. You're exactly right. That's exactly why I told you that, because I don't want the cross contamination. Right? So this is the problem with people is we don't know what we don't know. So what happens is you go on these sites, they give you this 5 list of things to do, and you don't know what you don't know. And because you didn't research life and humanity and psychology, and you don't know yourself because you're letting somebody else tell you what you should like, what you don't like, what you're here for on a platform, what you're not here for on a platform. You're letting them tell you everything about you, and they don't know shit about you. So because you never took the time to study yourself, you're becoming a product, right? So you don't know that you're on the site stalking people because nobody never took the time to show you what the word stalking meant. And Pasha Paro cares for you, and that's why I help you with these things. So let's take a look at what the actual meaning of stalking is, because we've cleared up the fact that you're on the site to do business in some way, shape, or form. You're not on here. This is not Netflix adding 18 million new users. Okay. All right. Now you're paying more than Netflix, but you're on the site to do business. Now, matter of fact, good point, Pasha. If we have a service, what kind of business model? Tell me about this business model, business people. You got a business model that says, hey, hold on, Jordan. The business model says, hey, we're in business. We're going to charge you to come on here and network, right? $10,000 a year, right? And you're like, oh man, it's going to be great. I'm going to pay $10,000 a year to go network with people. And then they tell you, wait. We recommend that you take 6 months learning, just stalking people before you pitch them. Now, who wins in the situation where the business model is, we're going to charge you $10,000 a year for you to come on our platform and network, but we're going to create an environment that says you will be attacked if you pitch anybody before 6 months into sending them into y'all starting to talk to each other. half of y'all don't even talk to each other. You just send a connection. But I don't want to say connection because the word connection means join together, and more than half of y'all haven't joined together or anything, right? Except the platform. You're both a member. You don't have any planned collaboration. You don't know about each other because you haven't took the time to talk to each other. You, the list could go on, but you haven't joined together on nothing other than a mouse click. All right. So who wins in a situation where we're going to charge you $10,000 a year? And I'm exaggerating the fee, of course. $10,000 a year to network, but don't pitch and don't handle any business for at least 6 months. Stalk people for 6 months. Let's see what Jordan's talking about here. Jordan says, I agree with you. I'm engaged most every day. The most of my posts couldn't even get 10% impressions without getting it repost it into the group. You know, when I hear that, Jordan, I think it makes me think you're probably saying some original content. You're probably saying something that makes people think. And those are great things. Those are great things. I totally support that. I'm also the type that don't like to assume, but when you said that, it reminds me of like what I post that you could say falls in that category. When I look at LinkedIn, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And Facebook, I guess Facebook in general too. I guess all social media really, because I started off, I wasn't on LinkedIn, I was on Alignable, right? Which is a totally different mental thing. But the thing I would be interested in seeing is if the algorithm said that, let's say if Jordan made a post today, right? If the algorithm said, okay, Jordan, you get credit for this original content for a 2-week window. Nobody else, like a mini copyright, right? Nobody else can post the same thought for 2 weeks. That would drive innovation, LinkedIn. One of the most boringest things to me is to see 27 people posting the same thing over and over again, and because they said it differently or used a different picture, you know they got it from the person who said it last month, who got it from the person who said it the week before. Like, that makes, like, it becomes familiar, it becomes comfort zone, it becomes stale. And when you have staleness, you're killing innovation. So literally, the most popular shit on LinkedIn today was a new concept in the 1940s. You know, it was revolutionary in the 1940s. Now it just gets a bunch of likes because everybody thinks they know about it, and then really nobody's took the time to study it. They just know the words on the screen, and it made them feel good and warm and fuzzy, like a cup of coffee or hot chocolate. So they click the like button, and then some really low sophisticated person gets 10 million likes on a post that's regurgitation from 1940. And we're wondering why we're not progressing as a society. But because they paid an extra $5,000 for LinkedIn to build their following, or for whatever platform you're on to build your following, they get priority. And Jordan, that's part of why your posts aren't going above 10% impressions, because you're probably not paying to play. You're probably producing genuine interactions without the injection of fiat currency into the system, because you got approved from the fake banking system for a credit card that has a $50,000 credit limit, and so you're accessing startup capital that people can't, maybe don't have access to promote yourself on LinkedIn. You're paying to play, right? So you're not doing that, Jordan. You're creating a real following. The difference is going to be, you may not get more than 10%, but the percentage that you're getting are real people, and they're really interested in you, right? We're going to get into this in a moment, but a lot of the people, they're not interested in the person that they're following when they post their like button, or they hit the comment. They're interested in the attention they're getting, and by doing that, they're hoping, their picture pops up with a like. They're going to be in the comment section. They hope someone reads it and gives them a like and follows them. And it's all what we call, in a moment we'll review, disingenuous codependency. Jordan says, have you ever occurred why the most higher profiles seem so perfect? They keep using AI generator for most of their posts. I think you answered your question with that, Jordan, and I think you actually pose another question as well. You can say that it appears perfect because they're using the AI generator, but then you got to question yourself as, what is the perfection? Perfect to who? Because when you use the AI, what is your purpose, right? Are you doing it for efficiency, and you just want to get some stats out? I like using AI to add emojis. There's a trade secret for you guys. I'll build content and then I'll put it on the AI and be like, add emojis, because it saves me like 15 minutes from going in and trying to find this emoji. What emoji am I thinking about here? I should use, like, I just copy my little passage, put add emojis, boop boop, and it'll go through and spit it out with all the emojis for me. So that's a free high value for you. How I use the AI to save time and makes my posts come out looking, because it's a visual appeal, right? I just don't want to spend an hour doing that part after you spend 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours creating the post, creating the visual content, creating whatever. So I'll use it for that. But I think you asked a great question, because the true people, the true mindset can tell when it's AI. And it's not to talk down about using AI, because it makes processes more efficient. So now when you have, let's say you're a one-man shop, you can be a one-man shop and do what it used to take 5 and 10 people to do in an agency or a collective setting. Because if you would have a meeting with your team and say, okay, team, this is what we need to do, target this, do this, be that. Now you can talk to the AI and they'll bring you back basically the same information for you to go ahead and put your creative elements to. So if you don't have the budget to hire 10 people and have an agency and then have an office that houses 15 people with a lobby and room for guests, then now you can be in a one-man office and do the same work with the use of AI properly, right? So yeah, appears perfect, but what is perfection to who? Because we recognize it's AI, most of us do. And then, is that perfect? Like, is that what you're looking for? Now, when I really want to connect, I make sure that every single word is posture word. You know what I mean? And that's when they be on like, oh shit, he's cussing and he's this and he's that. Like, yeah, because this isn't the public service announcement. You know what I mean? This isn't the PR revised. Here's just the details. You know what I mean? Like, let's get real for a moment. And I think that's what a lot of people miss in social media when it comes to business. They're afraid to be themselves because their brands and their services aren't connected to who they are. So when they see you able to not give a fuck and actually speak the truth, they're afraid of you because they've been taught that that was a bad thing. They've been taught being real is bad because they've been had to be being fake for so long. They don't know how to be real anymore. Real, remember, positivity to negative people appears as negativity. Now, the caveat to that is they don't realize that they're negative because they've been taught this is the way you do things. All right, so this is why the critical thinkers, enlightened individuals, and high efficiency focused people struggle in the modern day networking world. Okay, so let's get into it. So he wants you to identify your target, right? Oh, that's what we were already going to. So we know that you're on the platform because you have a business and you want to do business and everything that's connected to your business. But like we said, they're telling you don't do business, take a year because we're charging you 10 grand a year and we got advertisers and we got this and we got that and we got all this other service that we make money off of. We want you to take a year before you post anything about your business. Do everything else. Talk about all the other dumb shit that don't matter, right? But so if that's the case, if you're on there to do business, if you're on there to find clients, if you're on there to build a network of vendors, but you're not doing that, the definition of the word stalk is to pursue stealthily. See, because you're pursuing your goal of finding your next client, finding your next vendor, this, that, and the other, but you're doing it stealthily by saying, no, I'm just gonna like your client, like your content, like this. I'm gonna share this. I want you to notice me. I want to do everything but tell you I'm here for that because I'm pursuing you stealthily. They're hiding their real intent, right? Now what happens is, Jordan, when we come out and say, this is what we here for, fuck it, right? From day one, they're offended because they realize it's like you butting in line. You know what I mean? I don't know how y'all feel about people who butt in line, but if you stood there and waited, I mean, that was a choice, right? Like, I remember I used to be way, like, y'all think this is, y'all people feel the way they feel about us now. Imagine when they saw you 20 years ago and you were the type that would just, it'd be 100 people in line at the movie and you would just walk up to the ticket booth. I'm not waiting in line. Yo, you getting your tickets right now? Look, here, which movie you getting? Are you going to see such and such? All right, look, order 2 more tickets for ABC and here's $10. I basically buy one of your tickets back there. I'm not waiting in line. I'm gonna pay the $10 instead of standing in line full of 100 people, because my time is worth more to me than that $10 than the cost of that standing in line, right? So everything comes with a cost, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the word pay means to satisfy. So you think it's a free platform for you, or you think you're only paying this amount, but then they're telling you to go court a relationship for 6 months before you tell them why you even wanted to talk to them. See, you're being taught to stalk because they're making money off of you being delayed and telling people why you're there. So when they see Pasha or they see Jordan post or in the inbox saying, look, the connection just came solid. Welcome to my profile. Look, this is what I'm looking for. This and the other. They're like, oh my God, did you just send me a pitch? Did you just ask me to learn about me? Did you just say you want to know more about me? Like, you want to talk to me? Oh my God, that's so like human. Right? So the problem is then they feel offended. And the reason, despite what they're giving you on the surface, the reason they feel offended is because they were the dumbasses that sat around trying to stalk their prey and coax fake relationships and pretend that they're only there to like your content when they knew from day one they wanted to try and close this deal with you, or they wanted to try and get you on the books as a vendor. But they pretended, they went along with the fake game because they're used to chasing fiat currency. That's everything they consume. So they became fiat as well because you are what you eat. So they're offended that how dare you just come out and say what you're here to do? Like, buddy, you got to get in line like the rest of us and wait 6 months. You got to play this I want to be fake game too, because that's what we did. So they're not mad. They're not offended that you sent them, your products and service list. They're mad that they didn't have the balls to do it, and they waited 6 months for the last 12 clients they got, because that's what was backed by popular demand. So the word stalk means to pursue stealthily, which makes you a stalker. Okay, so now that we've got that on the table, the stalkers all right, so they want you to identify your target, okay, so that you can stalk them, because you're hunting prey basically, I guess, right? And in order for them to feel like they're hunting prey, you have to act like prey. So if you don't act like prey, then you still disrupt their system, because you're not conducting yourself like prey. So they can't properly hunt you. And maybe they were going to stalk you for 10 or 20 months before they offered it to you. And now you just messed that all up because you sent them a message saying, hey, let's collab. Let's get right to it. Look, this is who I am. This is what I know about you. Let's take time, learn more about each other, and see how we can help the community. And ultimately, what really irritates me about the whole process is it's the community that suffers. It's the community that suffers the most. Because if you're going to delay the potential by 6 months so you can play the fake game, then what that means is that the community is delayed in whatever you would have built in there for them, established, by 6 months at least. Right? So to me, that's very selfish, because you're doing what? You're feeding erotomania, and meanwhile people are dying and starving in the streets. Oh, unless what your business is really isn't that valuable and nobody cares, right? So before initiating contact, LinkedIn emphasizes the importance of knowing who your ideal customer or connection is. This involves, they say, researching their industry, their role, and their pain points. Now that sounds good, right? Like, let me look them up and let me study. But all this information about fake news and disinformation, and sometimes you pull up, you got hearsay, you got gossip, you got real sites, you got fake sites. How do you know what's true? You ever done research on somebody and then you finally talk to them and they're like, yeah, no, that's good, but I don't do this right there. I don't do that part. And you're like, oh, that was on your, oh yeah, no, that was, 5 years ago. It's not current, it's not accurate. So now you don't spend all that time researching shit that ain't even true today, right? The creative individuals, the critical thinkers, the efficiency people, we're gonna say, you know what? Let me just talk to the source, which you've heard Pasha say it 10,000 million times on the channel. Let's go straight to source. Let's talk to the source and let's be done with it. 30-minute investment in a conversation could save you 6 months of pretending to research that you know something that you don't know is true, and liking a whole bunch of comments that you didn't even know what the hell they're talking about. And like, Jordan said, they had to put it in AI to get an answer because they didn't even know how to respond to the shit. But this is the society that, says that we're the problem when we tell the truth about observations and reality, right? You can't tell. You got to know you're sick before you can appreciate the cure. And that's the problem. When sick people surround themselves with a whole bunch of other sick people, they're the pacification level intensifies. So when you come in and say, look, here's the remedy, they're like, you're the problem. How dare you think you're trying to cure us? You're the one that's different. And that's the issue with society and normative social influence. So then they want you to, after you research their industry and do all this waste of time shit that you could have done by just having a conversation with them, they say narrow down your audience using LinkedIn advanced search filters, right? And the key takeaways is that you want to understand who you're reaching out to and why they would benefit from connecting with you. And my response to that is, wouldn't it just be easier to have, it'd be faster and easier to have the 30-minute conversation instead of stalking them for 6 months? Yes, stalking, as we pointed out earlier, right? But that is, it's the sick, twisted, disingenuous codependency that people don't realize they're enjoying, right? And that's the issue here. So what do you do about that? Hold on. I mean, how do you feel about, are we clear there? Have we established the first part of the error? So the stalker enjoys the illusion of feeling, and this is where the erotomania comes in, right? Because the stalker enjoys the illusion of feeling of power over someone. Like it's when you look into what stalkers do, they get off on most of, I ain't gonna say most of them, some of them in research, the feeling of power over someone that they're sensationalizing is because they feel like they're able to know everything about someone down to the tiny insignificant details, and you don't know nothing about them. That's what makes these social media platforms, as far as the business side, so dangerous. Not dangerous because you're afraid that, like me, I don't care. Everything's online because I put it there, right? What I'm getting at is, for the people who don't realize why I'm using the word stalking and the erotomania portion of it, this is why they're telling you to listen to that thought earlier. Spend time learning who you're after, right? Engage with their content, all these details, all these posts they're making. When you get to see who they're connected with, all this stuff fuels the fire of the stalker, who wants to feel like they know everything about you down to the tiny insignificant details. Then the problem is the people don't want to share about themselves, so they share about shit that don't have nothing to do with them, right? They're posting on top 8 reasons why you should remain in a toxic workplace. And that's another thing. Hold on, let me sidebar for a moment, because a lot of people don't understand why Pac should be like throwing that shit out the window, right? It's not that I'm being negative against y'all posts. It's y'all haven't given any thought to it. Y'all posted top 8 reasons, how to cope in a toxic workplace. And instead, which is why people die, going to work from just sitting there and frogging a boiling pot. So I don't really value any of that shit, because I know the truth, right? And when you know the truth, you don't sit there and post, because people's lives are depending on this. This is what's disgusting about it. If you have a following of 500,000 people. And your advice to those 500,000 people is stay in a pot of boiling water and breathe through a straw, and it'll help you get less hot air in your lungs, right? If that's your advice, then and they die 6 months from now from following your advice, you didn't think about that, did you? Right? You didn't think about that before you researched that post and told them the top 8 things to do in a toxic workplace, because you didn't know that the ADAA and all the other experts and the stuff that Pasha research says that being in that situation is actually killing them and killing you, right? So now what Pasha did, instead of making a post, is Pasha took it to the court. That's why I'm in the position I am in. Because I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the American people suffering. Here's an example. We can make a first impression on the court level, and we can go national with it and give the employees of the nation an opportunity to see how to present themselves properly and defend themselves in a situation like this. And the motherfucking international community of business corporations put their big ass foot on Pasha's neck. Yes, that's how I got here. Right? So I don't care what people think about me, because I fell, like you fell off because you afraid to fall off. I fell off fighting for my people. Like, it took an international corporation. It took the local and state judicial system to knock me down, because I was fighting for America. So I don't care what you think about me. They knew how powerful the case was. That's why they came and sabotaged the car. Oh, Pasha, you don't have a car? No, they came and sabotaged that shit because they didn't want me to have the mobility factor to go easily put this stuff into play in the court and do all this other stuff and move around and make way with that. And then plus, when you're in certain court situations, the goal behind the scenes, you want to bankrupt the person. So yeah, they terminated me. And if you got a $12,000 repair bill, $12,500 repair bill at the same time, that drains your resources as well. So you got to decide what you're going to do. See, that's how I got here. So people judging me because they looking at, oh, well, Pasha. But if you look at back 5 years ago, you would have probably been, I've been the same way even then. Because I'm the same way when I was up, same way when I'm down. Because the goal's the same. The destination is the same. What the nation needs to do is the same. So Jordan, this is probably maybe some of the stuff why they don't mess with you, why they don't engage with you, because you're talking real shit. And when you talk real shit, fake people don't want to be seen with that. All right. So where are we at here? Narrowing down the audience using LinkedIn's advanced, blah, blah, blah. It'd be faster just to learn about the people, because the stalker enjoys the illusion of feeling of power over someone, being able to know everything about someone down to the tiny insignificant details, and they think you know nothing about them. So erotomania, right? Let me show you what that is. Now, when I show you this definition of what erotomania is, I want you to think about, what we just went over about what, people say you should do on these as a business networker. All right. And just tell me what you think the vibe is. So erotomania, right? While there isn't a single widely accepted term for addiction to being stalked, right? Because first of all, remember the thing is, they've set it up. We're basically proving the similarities. There's some overlap between the word stalker and follower, right? Because if we just go to a simple photo like this, it really shows the value of it here. You're online talking about follow me, right? And then as soon as someone starts really following you, you get offended, or you get scared, or you want to run. Okay? But what it is that there's a very thin line between follower and stalker. In the picture, would you say that that person in the background is following her, or looks to appear to be like following her? Does she feel like she's being followed? So then don't complain about being stalked because you asked for it, because you didn't know that stalking has an overlap with following. Just like if you're the follower, don't argue that you're not stalking the person simply because you didn't know what the definition was, or how LinkedIn has corrupted your brain into becoming a stalker and a follower so that they can maximize revenue off of your actions. Actually, off your lack of actions, because you're really there to do one thing that if you had just said in the beginning, you wouldn't be waiting 6 months to tell a person. You're on there liking their cat photos because everybody, I guess you like a good kitty, you know, what you like. Everybody smiles at the little pussy cat, right? So they know they get a lot of likes and interaction, and then you're just on there going along with it so that you can pop up as a photo on the page and hopefully somebody will recognize you. Like, that's retarded. Like, while there isn't a single widely accepted term for the addiction to being stalked, the closest psychological concept is erotomania, which refers to the delusional belief that someone, often a stranger or celebrity, is deeply in love with you, sometimes leading to stalking behavior towards that person. So the delusional thinking portion of it here says people experiencing erotomania hold a strong false belief that the other person is romantically interested in them, even when there's no evidence to support it. Like the word connection on LinkedIn. The word connect means to join together. Let's change the word so it makes sense. As a simile, people experiencing erotomania hold a strong false belief that the other person is connected with them, even though there's no evidence to support it. And then what does that do? Well, that generates stalking behavior. This delusion can often manifest as stalking actions like following. Like somebody go on my LinkedIn page, I forget who it was, but I was scrolling and someone said, I just reached 100,000 followers. And I was like, well, how many leaders? And they never responded. Because how many leaders they have isn't important. Their erotomania isn't satisfied by leadership they're developing. They want to feel like they're being stalked, and or they want to feel like they're stalking. So they couldn't answer that, because to answer that would have questioned their own belief, right? Because the people experiencing erotomania hold a strong false belief that the other people are connected to them or romantically interested in them, even when there's no evidence to support it. So the stalking behavior, this delusion can often manifest as stalking actions like following, the perceived love interest, right? And we could say, we know the word love means a different grade. So the perceived different grade interests, right? Sending unwanted gifts. So before you go and think about, someone sending you a puppy or something, think about clicking that like button as an unwanted gift. Or if they're on there talking about some bullshit ass post and you hop in there with the comment and give your version or perspective of the truth, they may consider that an unwanted, right? Even if that's something that goes along with them, they may consider it unwanted, because most people aren't posting to get feedback. They're actually posting to get attention. So they're posting that group of people is posting to get attention, so the feedback helps. The other group of people is posting to be seen as the authority. Let's say another group of people is posting to be seen as the authority. So anytime you say anything that challenges their fake ass authority, that's an unwanted gift for them. They don't want that shit, because now they gotta think. And maybe you're telling them that they're wrong, and maybe you're bringing the evidence that shows that, but they can't respond to it in front of the public, so it's an unwanted situation for them, right? Or making repeated contact attempts. Oh, you mean like continuously engaging with their content, whether it's a like, a comment, or a share? So let's look at this again. Erotomania, key points: delusional thinking. People experiencing erotomania hold a strong false belief that the other people are connected or romantically interested in them, even when there's no evidence to support it. Like I come on here talking about, yeah, I'm 2% of the population, 98% of y'all ain't gonna fuck with me because y'all retarded. Like I'm the exact opposite. I'm not here pretending that everybody likes me. I'm proud of the fact that only 2% of the population of the so-called North American continent is gonna actually even comprehend what I'm saying, and then of that 2%, we'll get some percentage that'll actually say, you know what, I like Pasha. See, that's truth. But y'all like the general population outside of the public here at Y97 is infatuated with fantasy. So the stalking behavior, delusion, can often manifest as stalking actions like following the perceived love interest, sending unwanted gifts, or making repeated contact attempts. And the reason that they're doing that, here's why I'd be like, you know what? I'd be like, because if you really were true and really wanted to do ABC or really was interested, none of that shit would matter. They wouldn't be telling you, well, you know, oh my God, you just sent me a something saying that you build fences. Why would you do that? And it's like, because if you wanted a fence, motherfucker, you would appreciate the notification. Like, oh damn, I was just looking for a fence. I was talking to my wife the other day about it. What do you charge? What do you do? Okay, cool. Well, look, how about you come out? Can you do a survey? Like, the conversation would be different. Dummy. All you had to do was say, hey, I'm not interested in a fence right now. But let's build our relationship. And, you know, if I know somebody that is interested in a fence, I can, you know, once I learn more about you, I might send them over to you. That's the way it should go. But your erotomania kicks in for those people, and you think that you're some celebrity because you paid for 50,000 people to follow you, and you don't get that you're not. Like, you don't even have good information. You just like, you got people that don't know no better following you. I would rather have 50 to 500 people that stand on truth than to have 50,000 people who fall for anything. I really just need 5. I'm looking for 5 real motherfuckers. If I had 5 real people, we could change the whole eastern part of the country. Now I don't have the finances right now, so one of the 5 we gotta have funding or access to it. But other than that, I just need real people. We don't even need a lot of bread, right? The problem is there's not a lot of real people. They can only be real for 10 minutes. They can only be real for 2 days. And then they get fatigued because it takes them so much work to be something that they're not used to being. But give them a paycheck and they'll be occupied by whatever spirit or possessed by whatever you want to for years. Which is why we don't really we look at them like you just don't get how hypocritical you are. You can't become true until you realize that you're lying to yourself. And they haven't reached that bridge to cross in their own life. So we can't force them to see it, because the question is, if you're going to stalk someone, well, how long are you supposed to do that for? An hour, right? Because think about it. If you saw someone pop up, what do? Do you go to their page? Do you check them out, or do you just wait for the algorithm to send you the next post from them 2 days later or something? How do you do it? Because if you went to their page and you looked over the last 2 months of content, you got a kind of an idea about what they're posting. You still don't know shit about who they are. So now for me, the next step is, well, who are you? Let me learn about you. Let's talk. And then this is where some of them have a conflict of, oh my God, did you reach out to talk to me? Like, how dare you? Like, yeah, motherfucker, if I saw you at Starbucks, we would be talking right now. You would telling me who you are, or else you would just walk off somewhere because you were afraid to talk to a real person. Like, what is wrong with people? Actually, they're not people anymore, because they've been programmed and brainwashed, and they're running these programs. And because they were programmed by LinkedIn, they're out treating you the same way at Starbucks if you eat there, or Walgreens, or wherever you might bump into someone at Costco. They're telling you how busy they are. They don't have time for anything. Well, if you're so busy, to me that means you need to charge more. Like, don't brag about having 500 clients in a year if you don't have time. If you don't have time to talk to the client that could be number 501. What that means that you really need to get down to about 50. So you should be charging 10 times as much, so that you can enjoy life. But so how long do you stalk people for? Let me know, LinkedIn people, Alignable people, if you're watching, any other business networking groups, how long do you stalk people before you talk to them? Is it an hour, a day, a year? Because that's disingenuous codependency. So let's take a look at what that is for the record in deposition. So the definition of disingenuous codependency, which I really, this topic is always so funny to me, because if you go back on the YNS7 channel, I did a video exclusively on disingenuous codependency with Steve Hamoan, and it fucking blew his mind, because like in that video he realized how disingenuously codependent he is in most aspects of his life, and he hasn't talked to me since. But that's what happens. That's what happens with people, because when you take their bliss away, they find you evil, right? Because you appear to be disrupting their peace, but their peace is based off a lie, and you just happen to be the truth, so they call you disruptive, right? So go back and watch the video, and you'll see how I blew. You'll see it. You'll see his reactions. You'll see his comments, his feedback. It was really powerful to do, for the humanity and the community, to witness the difference between people who think they know and people who actually know. Right. So disingenuous codependency, for this video, we'll review real quick, refers to a type of codependent relationship where one or both individuals may feign concern or support of the other while actually harboring self-serving motives. This dynamic often involves a lack of genuine emotional investment, where actions are performed not out of true care, but rather to manipulate or control the other person. or to fulfill one's own needs for validation or approval. Doesn't that just simply summarize everything we've covered so far today? This is why we need to get rid of the United States from America. Because the whole thing is disingenuous codependency. And this is why we can't be quick to blame the business people that practice this illness, because they don't realize that they're sick. Right? However, the problem from not addressing it means that they want the sickness and the illness to continue to spread. And or we become the pagans beyond, we the true people become the pagans, who the word pagan means those from beyond the markers, limited by the markers. Because if you go back and look at the other post, they were basically the ones practicing something different outside of the city when Christianity became popular in the Roman Empire cities. So you were considered pagan if you did something different. And the word professional, which we've covered here multiple times, really means those who have taken a vow to enter a religious order. So they don't know nothing about what they're doing. They done joined a religious order. They're judging you for being true, which makes you a pagan in their mind. And this whole dynamic is fucked up because of ignorance. So we need to just get rid of all the ignorant people, because they're causing problems. If they don't want to learn, then they're part of the problem. Remember, negative people, positivity appears to be negative. So you can't give them the positive insight. You can't give them the information that will help them create a real society, because they're so in love and seduced and infatuated with the fake ass society that's present today. Because they may feel like, what did it say earlier, the people will love them, because they don't realize that the word love is a noun and not a verb. Like, the whole thing is based off of ignorance. So in general, codependency itself is characterized by an imbalanced relationship where one person enables another's self-destructive behavior. See, they want us Americans to continue to enable the self-destructive behavior of the United States and their citizens. You know, I remember 10 years ago when I said, hey, we need to, or even longer ago than that, I said, we need to get rid of the IRS. I was the bad guy. So I don't support politicians because I'm American, not a United States citizen. Like, I don't care who president, but it's kind of interesting to see what Trump is doing right now. And I really wish I could go and get a teleportation device and see the faces of like some of the people who really made such a mockery of me telling them that that's part of the solution a decade or two ago. But that's how my whole life been. And that's why I don't respect certain mindsets, because the average person comes back to me on average 5 to 7 years later talking about, hey, that stuff you were talking about, it happened. What do we do now? And I'm like, fuck you, because we could have done something about it then. But because you would rather make fun of me, kick me out of your little group, whatever the case might have been, now we're all suffering. But remember how proud you were, right? When you got rid of me. Where's that energy at today? And this is why they pretend not to know Pasha. Not because Pasha didn't give them $10 million, $100 million worth of gain, worth of value. It's because of what they did when Pasha gave it to them. They can't face themselves or Pasha about it today. because your community leaders know they failed you. Because everything I said and did was to support you, to build America. But they wanted to hang on to popularity or a government grant check or whatever it was for them. And if it's 30,000 people in your community or 200,000 people, you all are suffering right now because when Pasha said, let's get rid of the IRS, your person didn't back them. And now Trump's in office doing the same thing we could have been doing 15, 20 years ago. But y'all were afraid and wanted to stay in your little comfort zone. And now guess what? The way it's going to be done now, you ain't got no say in. When we could have had a voice together. This is why I don't respect y'all. It's not personal. See, y'all get personal. The Gen Pop, Jordan, they get personal about it. Their emotions flare up because they don't understand the truth to begin with. So you can't tell them what's wrong with society without them feeling like they're going into somebody else saying Pasha's talking shit about me, or they're coming to somebody else saying Pasha's talking shit about you. No, we're talking about the issues in society. And if it happens to fit the shoes that you got on, then maybe you need to look in the mirror. But you're so busy saying someone told you to do something different because you're so used to being around 10,000 other sick people just like you that you don't realize that you're sick. Gen Pop. And then you blame the person who offers you the cure. The YNet 7 people. Our public. The Republic. And honestly, I'm really glad that the way the Most High did it in my life, that it did prevent me from becoming like ultra wealthy before like this time period in my life, because I probably would have done something similar to Bill Gates and give y'all all little shots. So this form of codependency, right? Where were we at here? In the case of disingenuous codependency, this enabling behavior is coupled with insincerity, where the underlying motivations are not aligned with the well-being of the other person. And they, some people be like, Pasha, how can you say stuff like that? Because I'm true. Because see, what the fake people going to do is they're going to smile in your face, and then when you leave the room, they're going to go talk to their people about how they should get rid of you and conspire against you and come together and shadow ban you and try to, cut off your money supply, your little fiat currency that you get, and try to kill you. They're trying to kill you behind your back because they so weak, they couldn't tell you to your face how they felt about you. See, my first charge was terroristic threatening. I did a year probation in my early 20s because I realized I couldn't tell people how I really felt when they do dumb shit. Nowadays it's cool, you can tell somebody stuff and they get to put laughing emojis behind it, but I got a year probation for that shit. You can tell someone now, go kill yourself, and laugh about it. See, when they realize your potential to lead and actually exercise power, they do shit to you like that earlier in life and throughout life to keep you crippled and compared to the weaker people who they want to put in position and prop up to lead the society off the cliff. So some people be like, oh, we told Pasha this and he ain't say shit. No, because yeah, you got that because you're a little kid. If I say something to you, I'm not talking about, I mean, you an adult, but to me, you a little kid. But if I say what I really want to say to you, they already got me on record saying that, Asha, you know better. You can't talk to, that's what I'm saying. It's child abuse. Your little feelings gonna be hurt. You're gonna be scared. But see, when you were doing all the stuff you're doing behind my back and everything, you don't realize you're doing the same thing in your own way. And then was again, just like the LinkedIn shit, when someone comes to you straight up and tells you the truth right up front, you're offended because that's not how we do it. We don't just tell you up front we don't like you and go, and get away from us. And that's we pretend and we come around you and laugh and sing and dance. And then when you leave, we talk about you. That's how you're supposed to do it, Pasha. You're fucking everything up because you're being real. Play the game with us, man. No, Jordan, we not playing with them. And that's what they're offended by. So yeah, they know, they know. I'm a little bit more refined now. It's okay. You guys can give me $50 billion. I'm not going to kill everybody tomorrow. Bill Gates gave him 5 to 10 years. All right. So the form of codependency can manifest in various ways, such as manipulative behaviors. So one partner may use guilt or obligation to maintain control over the other, right? They want to guilt you into talking about your business, or they want to guilt you into saying you submitted a pitch, right? Superficial support, actions that appear supportive but are actually aimed at maintaining the status quo or benefiting oneself. Like you're on there liking all the posts, sharing content, pretending you really give a fuck about this person. You really just want to talk to them 6 months later about, hey, let's do some business. Emotional exploitation, taking advantage of other person's vulnerabilities while pretending to care for their needs, right? So overall, disingenuous codependency can lead to further emotional distress and dysfunction in relationships, as it undermines the foundation of trust and genuine care that is essential for healthy interactions. But that's not what they were there for anyway. Healthy interactions wasn't on their list of things to do, right? So, when you study gaslighting, like you'll stand on the fact that these little subtle things add up and can kill you over time. Like you're going to really not be liked in society because you're going to start telling people no. You're going to start telling people that's not how you talk to me, and you're going to start educating people on this is why you should be different. And they're going to go run back to the 10,000 people that are sick like them talking about this guy. They're going to be their little lip out, right? So yeah. All right. So engage with their content is the second thing, right? So instead of sending the direct pitch, right? Instead of sending the direct pitch right away, LinkedIn encourages you to build rapport by engaging with their activity. And this is saying, instead of telling them why you're here to do something, it's like being that customer that walks in to the store, and when they ask you, is there anything they can help you with? You say no, you're just browsing, but you came there for that one particular item, and they got to go get the ladder and the hook to get it off the top, but you didn't tell them that. Like they could have been getting it while you were shopping for other stuff, since you wanted to browse and look around. You knew what you were there for, but instead you want to do your little dance around the store, and then you want to wait till you get to the cash register and they're checking you out with the line of 100 people behind you. And then you want to say, oh yeah, can you grab that down for me? Or I'm here for a pack of cigarettes as well too. Behind the counter they got unlocked, or that you're at the hood store and they got to go get the deodorant. They need a key. Whatever the case is for you. You could have told them that up front, but instead, what do? You pretend like you didn't know. How many people know somebody that did that? If you with them, it makes you look like you with the shits too. So that might things like that might include liking the comments, like we were talking about. See, it sounds so innocent. Like, no, I just liked the comment. I wasn't. What's so bad about that, Pasha? Right? Liking the comments, sharing the posts they've written, commenting on them, demonstrating genuine interest in their professional journey or business, right? This is why the stalker picture becomes so powerful. What do you mean you're popping up on the path along their individual professional journey? You keep popping up, but you ain't saying why you're there for. So if you're forcing yourself to do this stuff, it's not real, right? And then they want to tell you, oh, establish the visibility, right? Establish your visibility in front of this person, around this person, and show that you care about their content and expertise. That's, you're stalking them. Like, think about it. Look at her face in this picture. She's wondering why you keep popping up everywhere she go. But you ain't told the truth yet. So you look like a stalker. Like, that's the energy you should realize. LinkedIn has and these platforms have caused you to be seduced by. This is exactly what you look like, the little blurry figure in the background right there. And I'm not gonna look like that guy. So I'm gonna send you the information right up front. Hey, I'm Pasha, this is what it is. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna meet you. I'm gonna say this is what I do, this is who I am, because I've always said it. If you learn about someone, how can you say you know someone if you're gonna exclude what they do? Like, how you gonna cut it off? Like, oh, only tell me what you like to eat today. It's Monday. On Mondays, I only talk to people about what they enjoy to eat for lunch. Who the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. You don't do that. The next time someone tell you they know such and such, like, this will stop a lot of bullshit if people really did this. Because that's what I do. Like, they'd be like, oh, I know him. Oh, what you know about him? Oh, yeah, I know Pasha. What you know about Pasha? How you know Pasha? Oh, man, he Oh, you don't really know Pasha? Nah, yeah, I do. He came. We was at this party one night, and he came through, and I know him because he was the only dude I ever seen at the party that just came in with a bulletproof vest on. Like, you know what I mean? But what do you know about Pasha? Nothing. Oh, so you don't know Pasha. You know of Pasha. You see what I'm saying? They don't know you. They know of you. And then they want to form these opinions and shit about knowing of you when they don't know shit about you because they ran from you when you said, hey, let's get to know each other. But then they out there telling someone about how they know you. Oh, yeah, they're spammers because they sent me a message saying that it had a pitch in it and saying that he was Pasha in it. And when I first met him, he said, hey, he do logos. And I was like, I didn't want to know that. So he's a spammer because you didn't want to know who you were talking to. See, that's the sickness. That's the illness. I'll tell you, we need to get rid of this illness because it's fucking everything up, right? So let's look at a couple things here, and then we'll get to close it out here. So how does this actually, in review, how does this actually mirror stalking behavior, right? It mirrors it because in many ways, hold on, let me get my buttons right here. All right. So the suggested approach, right, with engaging with someone's content in order to build familiarity and rapport can tread lightly or a fine line between genuine networking and a behavior that feels unsettling and invasive. Why? Because you're monitoring activity, right? You got them under surveillance. You're constantly liking, commenting, or engaging with someone's post to make yourself visible, but then you're saying you're not stalking them. So you're monitoring their activity. You're constantly liking, commenting, engaging with someone's post to make yourself visible. Might feel like you're closely monitoring their online activity, but if overdone, this could mirror behaviors associated with stalking, where someone tracks another person's actions without explicit consent. Now, granted, we're on social media, but you're gonna have the people who feel like, which I never understood. I never understood the people who feel like they're on social media and they're acting like their posts are private or private property, right? Like like the people that I used to laugh at the most on Facebook. Hold on, Jordan. The people I used to laugh at the most on Facebook was the ones that be like, "How you gonna come on my page?" And I'm like, "This is your page?" Because this website says Facebook. Like, I didn't know you and Zuckerberg were related. One, and if you're posting it as public, how can you be offended that someone from the public commented in return? Like, I embrace it, even when you get on there and say your ignorant stuff because you don't know any better. Like, I embrace that too, because it's an opportunity to teach to others that might be interested in learning. But again, some people, when you actually speak to them about the truth, they get offended because, well, all of the reasons that we've covered. Check the rest of the page. It's a lot of the videos on here to talk about different ways that comes into play. What streaming software are you using right now? All right, Jordan, we're gonna stick to the join. Hit me up offline and we can build on that. I'll give you some coaching and everything. All right. So, monitoring, constantly liking, commenting, or engaging with someone's posts to make yourself visible might feel like you're closely monitoring. I mean, monitoring, when you start saying words like that, you obviously haven't had nobody in your life that's been on probation, like with the ankle monitor. You know what I mean? You really ain't had no crazy girlfriends. For the people who still do titles in life and have girlfriends and get married and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, you really haven't lived a lot when you don't realize how similar this is to stalking someone. You've never been stalked. You never actually, you obviously you have been stalked and you have stalked people. You just didn't realize it. So anyway, monitoring their online activity, if overdone, this could mirror behaviors associated with stalking, where someone tracks. You're tracking them. Remember, you want to track your prey. You want to hunt down your prey. You want to know them, like we said in the beginning. Identify your target. Wow, comes full circle, right? So, where someone tracks another person's actions without explicit consent. Granted, they're gonna say they didn't. They're gonna say they didn't invite the interaction, but they did because you're responding to the post. Like, if someone posts that they're going to expand their business and they want to do this, they just came out with a new product, and you go, "Oh snap! You posted you just came out with a new product. I do branding and marketing." Then they're in there talking about, "Why are you pitching me about this?" Because, dummy, you're expanding your product line. You need to have a brand for it, or did you not know that? You know what I mean? Like, this is, I'm saying, it's just dumb shit that just, they feel like that they don't know that they're the sick. So, one-sided focus. The recommendation suggests targeting a specific individual and interacting repeatedly with their content. This hyper-focus on a single person, especially if they are unaware of your actual intent, could feel intrusive to them, even if the intent is professional. When we know that the professional is that religious order. So in that religious order, they practice insanity and they call it business, and they say you need to be professional, because then they all agree, because they're all part of the same religious religious order, right? So uninvited engagement, right? So some people may not appreciate unsolicited attention on social media. Now think about, that's what I was talking about with the Facebook shit. Think about the irony of the statement. Uninvited engagement. Uninvited engagement. Just think about that for a moment and then listen to the statement. Some people may not appreciate unsolicited attention on social media. While platforms like LinkedIn are designed for professional networking, individuals may still feel uncomfortable if someone repeatedly interacts with their post without clear intentions. This is so wrong for so many reasons. Like, one, if you took time to talk to them or learn about each other, you would know what each other's intentions were. Two, you're posting for the whole world to see. How can you call that unsolicited if they respond? Your post was the solicitation. Like, this is what happens when people don't know what the words mean, no matter what language you speak. If you don't know what the words mean, you run around all these emotional attachments to beliefs and you don't realize that you're sick. This is why I say it's an insane asylum. We're not participating in your insanity. So you're going to be able to have a lot of reasons to run around the platforms or run around the cities and talk shit about Pasha and other people like us because, well, we represent the top 2% of the nation that you don't see eye to eye with yet because you haven't grown up enough to understand how you're acting like little children. Because you're following someone's instructions and never thought about what they told you to do. You're out here stalking people and celebrating being stalked because you didn't know what the words meant. And then when someone tell you, look, I ain't gonna stalk you. Here's what it is. You know, oh my God, that's offensive that you told me what you wanted me for in the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Obviously, they never been to the club and bagged a chick. Like, you're not gonna wait 6 months to. Well, I get. You know what? Hold on. Hold on. Let me get big on the screen for this. I forgot. It makes sense. There's a whole group of people out there that will get a chick's somebody they likes information, name, number, and they'll call them, they'll text them, they'll sit around playing to be the friend. I know. I just want to be your friend for 6 months, a year, and every moment they get, they're trying to hope that one day they say they want to be more than friends with them. When that's what they wanted from day one, but they never told them that. And then they're 8 years into a friendship that when they really wanted to be the significant other. That's what y'all look like. And then what does rest of the people who can see say is that, oh, that's so sad. It's sad. And then the only thing that's being affected by it is the community suffers because shit that could be getting done don't get done because y'all like to play games instead of do real shit. Like, it's saddening. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting. I just want to vomit every time. That's why I avoid society, man. But every time you get somewhere where you feel like you're at peace away from society, here comes society with their dumb shit. All of a sudden, you could be in a perfect place. It's got a couple people. They kind of got the right mindset. Then here comes a whole bunch of flood of people who you right back in society. You could go out into the woods and get you a piece of land, and guess what? 5 years down the road, guess what? They building a whole little city around you, and you back in the shits again. So we gotta fight to change the insanity, the cancer of thought process that's destroying the nation, because that's what's destroyed the economy, because that's what's destroyed your neighborhood, that's what's destroyed your educational system, that's what's destroyed everything that you feel you lost, whether you think you're a United States citizen or American. You recognize things could be better. So the connection to disingenuous codependency, so this networking tactic could foster a form of disingenuous codependency, especially if the engagement is not authentic or mutually beneficial. And I should have changed this word to genuine because this is the problem. The interaction is authentic and they're checking the boxes to say, hey, did you wait 6 months? Okay. Did you like my content? Okay. Did you like, guess what? We can be friends now. When that's totally the opposite of the way it should be. So performative interest, if you're forcing yourself to like, comment, or engage, and you may not say like you got a gun to your head making yourself do it, you might really think that you're enjoying it. But what I'm getting at is your intent wasn't to say, hey, let me like this cat photo. You weren't really that excited about the pussy. You saw the little cat, you saw the bell on his, you would have scrolled right past it, but you had to like it because you're trying to get the attention. You see what I'm saying? Like that, and you liking the cat photo because you couldn't like the post that they actually put about the technicalities of what they do in their industry because you didn't understand what they were doing. So if you're forcing yourself to like, comment, or engage with someone's content without genuine interest, it becomes a performative act. This aligns with disingenuous behavior as you're presenting a facade of care or admiration solely to gain something in return. But then they're going to be mad when you call them fake. Manipulative dynamics. Pretending to care about their expertise or journey to gain their attention, you might unintentionally create a one-sided relationship where the other person feels obligated to reciprocate. This manipulation of social norms could resemble some behaviors seen in codependent relationships. Like, someone was talking to me recently and said, well, you know, such and such has made hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was like, I don't give a fuck about how much fiat currency they done made. Like, what does that got to do? We're talking about people's character. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense what people hang on to sometimes. It just shows that the disconnect from what they're really after. So much just gets exposed when you just pay attention. So, emotional exploitation. In some cases, this approach could exploit the other person's desire for validation, likes, comments, to serve your own networking goals. This imbalance mirrors the exploitative nature of disingenuous codependency. Like, personally, when I hear, oh, people gotta, they done made this, made that, I realize that they're high risk to anything that involves change. Because they're going to be, most of them are going to be so afraid to become real because they're going to be afraid to lose their network or to lose their little situation that they got that's got them that far. They're not going to want to learn anything beyond that. Most of those are the hardest ones to, and they're the least ones, most often the least real. Like, they're the ones that's going to be this way, and then behind the scene there's somebody else and you're wondering why you didn't know that. Then you're up there as soon as it comes out 8 years later in the news, you're up there talking about, oh, so-and-so exposed somebody. Well, how could you not? You didn't know? You spent 8 years with this person and you didn't know? Oh, you wasn't worried about learning who they were. You were worried about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they made, right? I ain't saying they're a gold digger, right? But professional networking versus unethical practices. It's important to distinguish between ethical networking and behaviors that may come across as uncomfortable or insincere. Here's where the line is drawn. Ethical networking, genuine interest in someone's work, thoughtful comments, and meaningful engagement are hallmarks of ethical networking. Genuine interest in someone's work, thoughtful comments, and meaningful engagement are hallmarks of ethical networking. The key is in the genuineness. If you truly admire their content or expertise, your interactions will reflect that sincerity. Now, unethical and manipulative practices, when actions are guided solely by self-interest and lack authenticity, or I should say show authenticity, they risk crossing into unethical territory. Forcing yourself to engage with someone's content while harboring ulterior motives, such as wanting to pitch a product or service 6 months down the road, can feel disingenuous and exploitative. And really, if you're afraid of them feeling like you pitching them too early on week one, there's no guarantee that they're not going to look at you the same way 6 months into it, because they're just going to say, oh, so that's all you were here doing this for, is you wanted to sell me something? So get this shit out the window on day one. All right. So the metaphor of a customer entering the store claiming to just browse while knowing exactly what they want, this mirrors the disingenuous nature of the recommended action. And here's why. It's the avoidance of transparency. So the advice encourages avoiding direct communication about your intent, pitching your product or service, in favor of indirect engagement. This delay in transparency can feel manipulative, like intentionally concealing your purpose until the right moment. Right? Tomorrow's never promised, people. So inefficiency and distrust. Just as the store employee may feel frustrated by a customer withholding their true purpose, the person you're networking with might sense a lack of authenticity or genuineness and grow wary of your interactions or intentions anyway. So, suggestions for ethical networking. All right. But before we do this, let me just run through this here real quick. Because what LinkedIn in them says is then they want you to send, not to say they want to, like it's mandatory, but what happens, they make these recommendations and now you got 400 million people telling you what is recommended. And then they're judging you based on, did you follow the recommendations? Are you authentic? No, I'm not authentic. I'm real. Do you want, look, your logo sucks. Your marketing isn't doing it. Do you want to build or not? Because if you want to be in position, we need to get everybody in position by 2030. By 2030, people in what you call United States or America, for us, that's when they're looking to roll out the 2030 agenda, which is quoted as, you will own nothing and be happy. So if you don't have the right attitude, position, by 2030, your community is going to suffer. So I'm out here trying to help people get in position. Excuse me. And yeah, they slowed me down a little bit by this, that, and the other, like I said earlier. But hey, you know what I mean? For the ones that are supposed to get it are getting it. The ones who get it and know what to do with it are next level elite. The ones who get it and don't know what to do with it, we planted the seed. And that's why we got to screen the people we're working with more, to make sure that we're investing our time and energy in the right people for the right reasons. So when you're ready to connect, they want you to send a thoughtful, they say when you're ready to connect. So this 6 months into all this bullshit ass games y'all been playing. Then they say, hey, when you're ready to connect, send a thoughtful and personalized message with your requests. Avoid generic templates. It says mention a mutual interest, connection, or something specific. Now, if you haven't had time to learn about the person, or they haven't had time to learn about you and didn't see value in it, how are you going to send them a mutual interest, connection, talk about something specific, or admire about their work when you don't know if any of what you saw is true? They may be posting all this shit and then be someone else totally different behind the scene in reality, because they're personally different than who their business is, which is the ones I really don't like, because that's a trust issue. I never know which one you're going to be. If you can't be you and do your business and brand, then stay away from me, which is why I understand why a lot of people, avoid Pasha, because I'm telling them all this stuff up front. And they be like, damn, I like Pasha, but I'm in violation of terms and conditions code 5A and 7F. I don't qualify. And they'll accept that and go back to where they are, instead of saying, wow, but there's an opportunity. I learned something about myself. Maybe I should become true. But, I'm good with the 2% or less that actually represent and present themselves as American. Okay, so keep the tone friendly, professional, and conversational, they say. And the key takeaways are going to be a good first impression matters. So tailor your connection requests. Now, this is how retarded this is, because this is why we got to learn how to. It's not that people can't read. Like you see many people open a book and they can say the words that are on that line. The problem is that they don't comprehend. They don't know what the words mean, so they don't know what they're actually saying or reading to themselves or out loud or to you. So how are you going to say a good first impression matters? So tailor your connection if you spent 6 months already post connecting with them. The first impression was 6 months ago. Like, this is why y'all don't get it. So then they say after doing that, right? Then it says build a genuine relationship. Number 4, after connecting, the focus should still remain on learning about the person's needs, goals, or challenges rather than jumping straight into a pitch. You can start a discussion, send a follow-up message, thanking them for connecting and asking to open-ended questions, share valuable insights, provide relevant articles, resources, or tips tailored to their industry or role. Key takeaway, build trust by offering value first without expecting anything in return. See, and that's where the dummies don't get it, because they're doing it 6 months later. It's no longer the first impression anymore. You had 6 months. You could have been building a relationship. You could have been learning about the person's goals, needs, or challenges. And instead of assuming that you know from what you see online, you should have scheduled time with them to actually learn it from them, right? To have the discussion. And they shouldn't be acting like little bitches when you send them a follow-up request saying, look, let's get together and talk about each other, to each other, for each other. Instead, they want to go talk about you behind your back, because that makes them more of a celebrity. When they can talk about you, the real celebrity, it makes them more popular in their network, right? You could have been sharing the valuable insights for 6 months, but then they're mad at you because we chose to. The key takeaway says to build trust by offering value first without expecting anything in return. And see, they don't comprehend very well, so they don't realize that when we gave them the pitch up front, we were building trust by offering the value first without expecting anything in return, which meant we don't even expect you to be here tomorrow after I tell you what I'm here for. And then they say after all of that, pitch your product or service thoughtfully. Only after you've established trust and a relationship does LinkedIn encourage introducing your product or service. And when doing so, frame your offering as a solution to their problems or needs. Be concise and respectful of their time. Be respectful. leave them room to ask questions or decline without pressure. Key takeaways: the pitch should feel like a natural progression of the relationship, not an abrupt sales attempt. So let's get this straight, right? So frame your offering as a solution to their problems or needs, when you could have done that 6 months to a year ago. Then it says be concise and respectful of their time, but you just wasted 6 to 12 months waiting for the right moment. So are you being concise and respectful of their time by wasting 6 months? Because see, this is what I'm saying. Critical thinkers, people who focus on efficiency and the like, we're not going to waste 6 months to a year telling you what we want to tell you day one. So all of this is fucking retarded. It's ass backwards. And then it says leave room for them to ask questions or decline without pressure. That's exactly what we're doing day one. Hour number 1, 15 minutes into meeting you, you know what? This is what 5 seconds, 15 seconds into meeting you. This is what I do, and who I am, because it's part of who we are. What you do is part of who you are. When I say I want to know about you, I'm talking about you, the holistic you, the whole complete you, the whole you, the truth. Don't leave shit out. The only reason you should leave shit out is because we ran out of time in that moment for you to explain it. And we realized you can take a lifetime to learn everything about a person, but we're going to start with the core today. And if you know what you do for a living, or you know what your interests are, you know what you're selling when you woke up today, then that should be one of the first things you let people know, because along with, like your basic stuff, because that's part of who you are. Just because you're not proud of what you do, because you probably being fake about it, don't get that confused with the people who are proud of what they do, because they're going to tell you up front, because that's what they're proud of. They're not proud that, of a shape up. You know what I mean? They're not proud about what shoes they got on their feet. They're proud about the work they put in the community, how they building a nation. The people who got hundreds of thousands of dollars in their bank have waste. That's waste. When you have more than you know what to do with, it's called waste in manufacturing. It's called waste in every other element of business and life and survival, except for when it comes to fiat currency, because you don't understand that the fiat currency is a product of the banking system. So of course they're going to tell you to have it, because it's a product that they make money off of you having. It's debt. You don't even know, like, you don't have a plus, you have a bunch of minuses. You are holding on to debt that has absolutely no value, and then you're not moving it because you don't have a plan on what to do with it when you get it. So you hoard it because you don't know what to do with it. That's what it says. When you got a whole bunch of something that you don't know what to do with, that's what you have. So it's really a foolish thing, because it could be out there doing something. It could be out there feeding homeless. It could be out there building another job for someone to work, so that they aren't, on whatever. It could be out there building infrastructure. It could be out there doing a whole bunch of stuff. But instead, someone's needing to share that you have, whatever you think you have, which is nothing at the end of the day. All right? Because when it hyperinflates and it costs $10,000 for a loaf of bread, your hundreds of thousands ain't that much anymore. So we're all in the same boat. All right, but I mean, just think about that, how dumb it is, right? You wasted 6 months and they're going to tell you to be concise and respectful of their time. Like, we respected our time right away by telling you who we are and this is what we're after. So they said the pitch should feel like a natural progression of the relationship, not an abrupt sales attempt. Well, you just spent the first 4 steps having an unnatural progression of a relationship. So no matter how you intervene with your sales pitch in step 5, it's going to feel abrupt, because you just spent steps 1 through 4 painting this fake facade of you weren't there to give them the pitch. God, sickness, man. All right. So let's see here. Let's get to that. Let's close out here with these details, because here's how we look at it ethically, right? So, because the conflict that we're dealing with here is, it's a conflict for those who are efficiency seekers, right? So the critical thinkers, the efficiency oriented individuals, we value directness, we value transparency, we value genuine interactions, which is clearly the opposite of everything we've covered so far. The recommended networking practices can feel at odds with our values, because they're time consuming processes for no reason. The suggested approach of engaging with content over extended period of time before making direct content is inefficient. as you pointed out, a 30-minute conversation can save you months of bullshit. So we want to have the 30-minute conversation. We don't want to spend 30, 60, 6 months wasting each other's time pretending. And meanwhile, the community is suffering from it. You got to understand the disgust involved here. I did the research on a company. I said, oh, they just got approved for a grant for I don't know, I think it was, let's say $500,000, right? To implement this system into the community. I said, okay, cool, that's perfect. I got the green belt experience, project manager, process optimization, and they're going to need marketing and branding. Let me follow up with them, see where they're at in the project process. We're 6 to 7 months after, not after the thought process, after the check cleared. When I made the call, it was 6 to 7 months after the check cleared. I'm expecting to get an update on where they're at in the project. They talk about they ain't even start yet. So it's 6 to 7 months after the check cleared. The community is still suffering and struggling. Y'all got the check, but talking about y'all ain't start yet. And I'm not saying this is not to say they misappropriate funds or misuse the funds. I mean, it literally could be sitting in this account, just sitting there waiting for action. But what I'm saying is it's 6 to 7 months later and they haven't had any action on the project yet, and the community is in dire need of the solution. So each time you get that inbox request and someone's sending you a pitch, I want you to look at it as if that's the situation. Because that's exactly what it looks like every time y'all do that dumb shit. Feeling like y'all better than somebody or to achieve some status or something. Do you want to help the community or not? Because when 2030 get here and it talks about you own nothing and be happy, guess what? Everything you think that you better than the next person off of is going to get thrown out the window. When automation and AI takes over, everything is going to race to a 0 point, to a cost to produce of $0, which means it's no longer going to cost anything for you to order a Porsche. So the person who thought they were that high level executive doing all this and that and the other and wearing suits or whatever it is they think that makes them better, right? Because they didn't know that the suit is a British thing, right? From their military. So you look foolish in America wearing a suit because you're not part of the British military, but you don't know anything to begin with, so you feel glorified in your status when you do it. So when they can order a Porsche, just like the dude that you stepped over outside of 7-Eleven, they're gonna lose their ego because automation and AI is gonna make everybody potentially able to be equal. There's not going to be a need for any fiat currency because everything's going to cost nothing to produce because it's all here for free on Earth. When the AI control the robots or cyber or little whatever you want to call it, and they can build themselves, replace themselves, go mine the ore, go farm the field, put it on the AI driven truck to take it to the AI production center to manufacture, to mine, to take the resources and the raw materials and produce the products to get put on the other AI truck to take it to the Amazon so they can fly the AI drone to your door and drop off the product. Everything gonna be free. That's why they were beta testing stimulus checks for you, because you don't know what universal basic income is. You thought they were doing something about COVID because you didn't realize that once that takes over, you ain't going to work no more because there ain't going to be no work. So they were beta testing how long can you sit in the house with the people you say you, even though love's a noun, not a verb, How long can you sit in the house with the people you claim you love before you start going crazy? Like, you don't understand what a beta test is. So keep walking around here thinking you better than someone, and you ready to find out what equality is the hard way. Because when the person that you used to step over at the 7-Eleven, the homeless guy, can order the Porsche just like you're gonna be ready to jump off the top of the building, because you ain't got no character that separates you in any type of way. You don't have no character. The best someone can say about you is you got a couple $100,000, or you made a couple $100,000. I've been around millionaires my whole life. I worked with millionaires. I worked for millionaires. They're mad at me because I didn't become part of their program to become millionaires, just like they did. Because I didn't conform to those practices either. This is why they don't want me to rise up in the ranks, because they know I'm building something to topple all of that shit. I'm building America. I'm branding America. And we don't want the United States sickness anymore. See, y'all that look at me a certain way are where y'all at because y'all just really aren't that good in life. I'm where I'm at because really powerful people have worked and conspired, at least together, to kind of corral me into certain positions. So I got to do 10x what you got to do to maintain what you're doing, because you're non-threat to society that they built. They're safe with you having $5 million because you ain't gonna do nothing with it. $5 million to me would start a new empire. That's the difference. So that's why when you post stuff, some of y'all may have in the Gen Pop 10,000 engagements. All people who are non-threatening. All people who are just followers, stalkers, looking to fit in to what's been here, eroding humanity for decades. I'm very comfortable with the 5 and 10, maybe 50, 100 people that interact with mine, because when it goes down, we're going to be the ones that change the world. So, to avoid the uncomfortable parallels with stalking or disingenuous codependency, consider these ethical alternatives with a smile. Be transparent early. If you're reaching out for a specific purpose, state it up front in a polite and respectful manner. All right? Because we're also dealing with the perceived inauthenticity or disingenuous, right? So the practice of liking, all that stuff, it's manipulative. So that's why it doesn't work with critical thinkers. I'll finish this and then we can go into these last 2 bullet points and we'll close out. So the parallels to stalking, the recommended practices of researching potential contacts and engaging with their content over time, it mirrors stalking. So information gathering, while intended for professional purposes, the extensive research into an individual's background, interests, and activities can feel invasive and reminiscent of stalking. The persistent engagement, continuously interacting with someone's content without their explicit consent or reciprocation. Now you liking all they posts, you sharing their content, and they don't show up on your page and do the same. They not coming to your page and liking or commenting, or they only show up when you share they stuff. They don't like none of your other content. Do you feel like you got a connection? But you gonna keep doing it, right? Because it says 6 months. But you don't know the definition of insanity or stalking, because apparently you're not what they're looking for, right? Be okay with being not what they're looking for. What it is that you got to know your own value, and you got to know that they may not be looking for you now, but like Pasha says, I keep track. That's how come I know 5 to 7 years. And I'm so, it's the worst thing I've ever learned about myself in my life. 5 to 7 years. The average person comes back 5 to 7 years saying now they understand what I was telling them. And I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it, because if I did, then we could be doing stuff today. But what that means is that the impact that I could be making with you in the community, the things that we could be doing to better the community, is delayed by 5 to 7 years because of ignorance. And that means that by the time you realize it, we're 5 to 7 years further down the spiral, or further into the problem, or further into the opposite direction we could have been going, should have been going. Which means that we're no longer there anymore where you just got to, that I was telling you about 5 to 7 years ago. We're somewhere else now that I don't even want to waste the time telling you with, because you already gave me a trust issue in sharing with you. You already gaslighted me for who knows how long. You know, you already did whatever you did behind my back for who knows how long. Because you were ignorant. And because of your ignorance, the whole community has suffered. So I can't respect that. And I will die with $5 in my pocket instead of being fake about anything involved in the process, including liking you. So superficial support, engaging with content primarily to gain visibility. You know, I like to do beta tests myself. So when I did that video a while back, because I got rid of, I did the video and then with the Chris dude, and because I just met him like a little while before. I'm the same way with everybody. Hey, look, what are you doing? You want to do some business, or you want to do this? Okay, you got some. Okay, cool. You know what? What was it? I got a channel. Let's do a conversation. I kind of like, you got some intelligence. I can at least rock with that. Like, I'll be looking for what is salvageable in a person. I don't try to convert people, but what's salvageable in you that we can help propel America to critical mass. Okay, cool. You know what? I'm gonna take that. Let me build a conversation around it. I built the whole conversation, right? But what I did was I said, okay, I'm gonna share this with the same amount of people that I share everything else with. What I'm looking for is disingenuous codependency, but people didn't realize that. So if I create a post with someone and 80% of, not 80%, but let's say 80 people out of 1,000 who don't interact with me but go follow them, I'm disconnecting all of those people. And that's what they were offended by. They were offended because I disconnected all 80 people. Because if you're not engaging with me, but you're gonna go run to someone who's telling you something that I've told you for years as if it's new information, I don't want you around me. Because not simply because What you're telling me is that you don't value the information coming from me, and then that reminds me of the trauma of dealing with people coming back 5 to 7 years later saying, hey, I now get what you were telling me 5 to 7 years ago, meaning that the community suffered for 5 to 7 years because your dumb ass didn't understand or value that it came from me. Like, I'm looking because I don't even want to look, but I'm curious. Like I said in the beginning, how many people are when I said do away with the IRS, I was crazy. If Trump said, and they were talking to the same people, how many people would be like, well, Trump, how would that work for us? Because that's the question you should have asked Pasha. See, but because you view Pasha a certain way, you didn't feel like that. You didn't ask that question. And those are the people that I don't want around me, because if you don't value this, if from me as a source, and we gotta wait 10 years for you to value it from somebody else, that's 10 years that I don't trust you with. Right? Does that make sense? So yeah, some people were offended, and then I got rid of the people too, Chris and everybody, because if you're going to accept these people and you didn't screen who they were, why, you didn't have time to study 80 people. So you now become a trust issue too, because you just thirsty and you let everybody around you, which is dangerous. See, we're at war. Now, war may not look like World War II. Y'all waiting for World War III, not realizing that your United States is already years into World War III. It just don't look like what they taught you war was. Business is war. The Chinese say that business is an extension of martial arts, but y'all don't know that. Y'all too busy battling for acceptance. So engaging with the content primarily to gain visibility rather than out of genuine interest aligns with the concept of superficial support and disingenuous codependency. Manipulative behaviors. This is why critical thinkers and efficiency seekers don't like this stuff. So the strategy of building rapport before revealing one's true intentions, like WTF, can be seen as a form of manipulation, which is a key aspect of disingenuous codependency. And then there's the cognitive dissonance. For critical thinkers and efficiency-oriented, right, these practices can create significant cognitive dissonance. The ethical concerns, the conflict between the desire for genuine relationships and the perceived need to engage in potentially manipulative networking practices can cause moral distress. It's against our morals. So we don't participate with those rules. And we're going to tell you up front who we are, and you're not going to like us. And you're going to say we're spamming. Because you fake as hell and don't realize it. So when you see the truth is a problem for you, right? Efficiency versus the social norms, the tension between wanting to be direct and efficient and feeling compelled to follow these time-consuming social media network norms can be frustrating. And what you got to understand is, yeah, Pasha's talking about this relative to social media, but as mentioned earlier, the social media is what's programming the minds of the people and how they're supposed to interact with others, and then they go outside and do it to you at the ice cream shop or when you meet them at Best Buy. See, they're programmed by social media, so they're actually artificial intelligence themselves right now, operating on a program. So just because they're offline and meet you at Best Buy, they're going to treat you like it's LinkedIn. This is where the problem perpetuates. So it's an impact on trust and relationship building on a national level. In and outside the office, on and off the clock, the perceived disingenuousness in these networking practices can significantly impact trust. So the erosion of trust, when individuals sense that interactions are not genuine, but rather part of a calculated networking strategy, it can erode trust, which is fundamental in building strong professional relationships. Then you got skepticism. So critical thinkers may become increasingly skeptical of online interactions, questioning the motives behind every engagement. And then that spills out into everybody you meet in the general pop. So cultural and personality considerations, different personality types and cultural backgrounds may react differently to these networking practices. Cultural norms, right? So in some cultures, indirect approaches might be more acceptable. Right? They this is how they rock. Okay. So if that's their cultural norm, then indirect approaches might be more acceptable, while in others, directness is valued. This can create additional challenges for those navigating multicultural professional environments. Like when you say multicultural, remember the United States mentality versus the American mentality would be a multicultural experience. Personality traits. Efficiency-oriented individuals and critical thinkers may find these practices particularly challenging due to their preference for direct communication and logical approaches. All right. So there's actually one other thing here. Oh yeah, this is what I want to do real quick. Hold on. We can go through this and then we'll be done in like 5 minutes. So engage authentically, right? Only like, comment, or share content that genuinely resonates with you. If you can't find anything relevant to engage with, it's better to reach out directly rather than forcing interaction. So this is maybe why they don't interact with you, because they can't relate to what you're doing. And if it's like the case of me and Jordan, it's probably because you're speaking truth and they're like fake shit, right? So they can't relate to the truth, so they're gonna avoid it. And you didn't realize that, so you reach out to them, and then they see you as robbing them of bliss, so they want to avoid you because they blame you for how they feel about themselves now that they look in the mirror because you told them the truth. So they avoid you. They walk past you with their head down. They act like they don't see you. They talk to everybody but you, all this type of stuff, because everybody else shares the same sickness and they can celebrate the illness together, whereas you're going to give them a cure that they feel like was unsolicited because they didn't want to be healed. They wanted sympathy. They didn't want empathy. They wanted pacification. But you're focused on building an America, and they just want to fit in with the rest of the insane asylum. So focus on the mutual benefit. Networking should be a two-way street. Consider what value you can offer to the person you're connecting with, rather than focusing solely on how they can help you. Otherwise, you're going to appear to be a stalker. So the modern expectations, and this is what the problem is. We just went over the solutions, but keep this in mind, because today we see a shift towards more complex and sometimes contradictory expectations. The digital first approach, with the rise of digital communications, many customers and even people in your regular everyday relationships now prefer self-service options and digital interactions over face-to-face encounters, right? So if they prefer digital interactions, but they don't want to have a meeting with you so that you can have a conversation about each other, and they want you to depend on believing that you know who they are from their posts, How disgusting is that? Number 2, proactive versus reactive service, right? While 71% of customers prefer proactive support, there's a growing aversion to unsolicited contact, especially among younger generations. Hence the whole problem. People are scrambling in a panic to find someone to do A, B, and C when they need it done because they were too busy telling them to fuck off when they try to reach out to them 2 years ago. They could have had a relationship built and know exactly who to go to. Then you run out there and pick the first person you see. You want to try and get it done for the cheapest, you get it done. And then you wonder why you don't really have a quality product, but you feel like it got done and you don't know any better. So personalization versus privacy is the third one here. Customers expect personalized experiences, but are wary of overly intrusive communication. So because they don't want to share with you who they are, it's kind of oxymoronic and hypocritical to say you want a personalized experience. Like I had some idiot tell me that in the inbox. They were like, I like to take time to learn about each other before I get a pitch. Kind of like what we went over here. And I was like, idiot, the first 2 paragraphs of the message I sent you said, let's learn more about each other and set up a Zoom call to have a 30-minute conversation to break the ice. Dummy. But what you were focused on was someone saying what they did, me saying I do logos and this, that, and the other later on, because I'm sharing you an icebreaker about who I am and what I do after I gave you the invite to let's learn more about each other, fool. Like this is it's disgusting because the human brain justifies what it wants to believe. So it read past 3 pieces of information, found something it didn't like, skipped over everything else, and don't realize how dumb it sounds, saying that what I really prefer is what you mentioned in the first 2 paragraphs that I'm gonna act like I didn't see, or maybe I didn't read, or I forgot about, and I'm gonna harp on this that would have came in. Shut the fuck up. You're wasting everybody's time right now, and you sound dumb as shit. This is why you don't know nobody. Because you're just a erotomaniac that believe you know people. Until you meet someone real who could tell you shut the fuck up. So the desire for efficiency, customers want quick, efficient service, often preferring self-service options. This is evident by the fact that 82% of customers expect an immediate response from companies. 82% of customers expect an immediate response from companies that they might have spent 6 months ignoring. See, we proved that earlier, right? But then when they need you, customers want quick, efficient service, often preferring self-service options, right? But this is evident by the fact that 82% of customers expect an immediate response from companies. How you feel about that? If you're a business owner, whether you on the front lines or you got a team, see, that's the other thing. People be like, I got a team, I don't do that. So you don't respect your team. You just gonna throw them out in the middle of the crossfire, and you don't care. You didn't build a system, or you're not building. See, that's because you don't know what a brand is. You don't know how to tell them that your brand cares about its employees' well-being. So you gonna make the process be this way, or else you don't need that customer. No, you desperate for the customer, so you sacrifice your employees because you desperate and you lack control and you weak and you can't stand up for what you have. No morals, because all you do is worship the fiat currency. So number 2, the aversion to unsolicited contact. So simultaneously, there's a growing resistance to unsolicited outreach, especially if it feels like a sales pitch rather than genuine assistance. But then they get mad when they call you, like I said before. Number one here, 82% of customers expect an immediate response from companies, but the irony that simultaneously there's a growing resistance to unsolicited outreach, so that when the company reached out to you to let you know who they were, you were resistant. But then now you wonder why when you call your credit card customer service, it's an hour-long wait. They tell you, we're going to call you back in 45 to 60 minutes. Press 1. You don't like the way it feels because you didn't realize how it felt when you was doing it to everybody else. So now you've created a new standard norm on the customer experience platform, and now you run around talking shit, blaming it on COVID. No, blame it on yourself, because you didn't want to build. This is what you did. This is what you created. This is a mirror. This is a reflection of who you've been. Like I said, I'm cool knowing that 2% or less is going to fuck with me. I already know why. You the one acting like you don't know why you're put on hold for an hour now when you call customer service. So the expectation of proactive service, despite this aversion, 67% of customers find proactive customer service favorable, indicating a preference for businesses to anticipate needs without being intrusive. And I'll close there to show the complete hypocrisy, the complete insanity, the complete retardedness, why the community is suffering, why the economy is falling to shit, because y'all so busy pretending you don't want to know, need, or like, or whatever somebody. But then 67% of customers find proactive customer service favorable, indicating a preference for businesses to anticipate the needs without being intrusive. I'm Pasha Pablo. Thank you for tuning.